Hi everyone, welcome again to another episode of the New England Racing Show. It's Channel 23, Manchester, New Hampshire, and I'm your host, Bill Sturgis. Well, this week's show is going to consist of two segments. First segment we're going to show is a visit to SMG Motoring in Hopedale, Massachusetts. This is Fred Simmons, and he has a chassis dyno on hand, which he'll dyno all kinds of different cars with, street cars, race cars, whatever. And we took our NEMA Lite Midget down there and put it on his chassis dyno last week, and we'd like to show you that. Well, we're here at SMG Motorsports. Fred Simmons, the owner, has a chassis dyno, and we have, for an example, a NEMA Northeast Midget Association Lite series car here, which we're going to do a chassis dyno on. The way they're doing this in the Lite series is they're dynoing all the cars, and they want them to be at 165 horsepower maximum. And what that does is that levels the playing field, because you have different types of engines in this series. You have some Hondas that are putting out about 200 horse. You have quad 4 engines that are putting out significant horsepower. This happens to be a Ford Focus engine. This was dynoed a few months ago, and it came in at 172 horsepower. So we're going to detune it down to 165 so it'll be legal in NEMA. What they're doing is, if everyone's supposed to have their engines dynoed by the opening race at Star in a few weeks, and if you don't have it dynoed and you show up and you blow everybody away because you got a lot of horsepower, they're going to take your car, bring it down here, dyno it. If it's over 165, you get disqualified. You lose all your points and all your money. So there's a significant penalty here if you don't adhere to the rules. And that's how they're going to do this, to make it even for all the different engines. So the car is all strapped up. The rear wheels are on the drum. We've got a computer readout over here. Fan to keep the engine cool. It's strapped down on the front and the back. And there's also a fuel mixture that goes in the muffler and measures the mixture of the exhaust gas to let you know if it's running too lean or too rich. And that way, it'll help save your engine so that you're not going to burn a piston or anything. Fred's he's sitting in the car, and he just revved it up to about 6,800, 7,000 RPMs. And then we look at the computer readout screen to see what the horsepower and torque was, and the fuel mixture.
about 177 horsepower. For that spike. Well, it went up. You can see it gained a bunch of power, but up at the top it's still lean.
It was running lean, so we increased the pressure on what they call the high-speed bypass, which allows the methanol to go back to the tank. So you can adjust that high-speed bypass so that more methanol stays in the engine and it'll run richer. Let me try it again. And all the time he's doing this, I'm holding my breath, wondering if the engine's going to blow up. Because it was turning 7,000 RPMs, but he explained that that's what it does on the track. You're just not standing right next to it when it happens.
I would go another 3/4 of a turn to a turn, and then we'll.
Now the sensor that's in the exhaust pipe will tell you the air-fuel mixture. Well, we were at 172 horsepower, and by changing the ignition timing, which was pretty easy to do right here on the ignition block, we got the peak horsepower down to 164. So this car is now legal for NEMA Lite. Okay, that was an interesting visit to the chassis dyno at SMG Motoring. Our next segment was filmed this past Saturday, April 27th at Star Speedway. It was their practice day, and it was a beautiful day, mid-60s, sunny out, and about 50 cars showed up. All kinds of cars, modified, some big block supers, small block supers, midgets, Iron Man cars, strictly stocks. Everyone was there just relaxing and practicing with their cars. And the nice thing about a practice day at Star is you don't have the stress of racing. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's more relaxing to just go there and work on your car and take your time and send it out. So now we'll visit Star on practice day. Douglas Jr. in the 23. And here comes the big block super, the Vic Miller car. He had two cars there. One, I believe, was a 71, and Chris Purley was driving one, and I think Liquid Lou was driving the other. This is an outlaw car. Beautiful looking car. Pretty much an open series, except that they run 8-inch tires, so you can make 700 horsepower if you want. It's just that you can't put it to the ground. And the tire rule evens everything out. This is another big block super. Still has to be lettered. they'll push the cars off to start them because they don't have starters, and then they'll put it in neutral and come in and work on the engine. There's another big block super.
I feel better now about doing it.
This is a NEMA Lite car. I believe this is a rookie. They just bought the car this year. This is Jimmy Renfro's Outlaw car. And Jimmy's other car, I'm not sure if that's a Pro Stock or a late model. I think it's a Pro Stock. Jimmy runs out of Candia, New Hampshire. Another NEMA Lite car with a rookie. I believe the kid's 14 years old. There he was in the background. That's a small block super, Mo Latamy's car. That races at Lee. We have some Strictly stocks. Vic Miller's car. I believe that's the second one, even though it says 11 on the wing, it says 71 on the back. I think Robbie Summers might be driving that this year, I'm not sure. And look at all the feature winner stickers from the last few years. You can tell that car is really awesome. There's going to be a lot of Strictly stocks this year at Star. There's our NEMA Lite car, the one that was on the Dyno. That's got the Ford Focus engine in it. There's a nice looking Strictly stock. And now we get to the classic lights. Some Iron Man cars.
I don't think so.
Not sure where the truck will be racing.
Take off the gap.
That's a balance sensor. Yeah, temperature, air temperature. I mean, I'm sorry, air density.
These are some nice little cars, I'll tell you, and they go pretty quick. They dart in and out of traffic, and I'm just amazed at some of the moves that you see out on the racetrack with these guys. That's Matt Fraham's Granite State Pro Stock car. Matt also runs a nationwide series. He's an up-and-coming driver, trying to make it big in the Cup cars. Eventually, maybe he'll get there. But it's a beautiful car. There's another Granite State Pro Stock. There's some beautiful modifieds. These will be running at Star on a weekly basis. They're tour type modifieds, which means it run pretty much the same rules as the Whelen Modified Tour. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, I used to run modifieds at Star on a weekly basis too. And here they are practicing. 3 NEMA Lite cars, so they put them out by themselves. And this is Bob Weber Jr.'s small block super. Bob Weber Jr. is the owner of Star Speedway, and he's going to be racing a small block at Lee every week. This is the red big block super that we saw earlier in the pits. The big block is about a second and a half faster than the small block super. It's also cost about 4 times as much money. So I guess you can make up your mind whether it's worth it or not. When you get 24 of those out there, it's pretty exciting. Especially if you're standing out in the infield by turn 1. It would just blow you away. Bobby just had his car lettered and it looks pretty nice. Well, there's a lot of the action that went on at Star last Saturday. Next week we'll be covering opening night at Lee Speedway this Friday night, May 3rd, and May 4th opening night at Star. So there's going to be a lot of racing now. It's going to be going on every week at different tracks, and we'll have a lot of the action from Lee and Star for next week's show. So thanks for joining us.